All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. So we're about 2 weeks away from the NFL draft, and you're just seeing smoke screen after smoke screen. You're seeing this report, you're seeing a conflicting report, and obviously the Las Vegas Raiders holding the 13th pick with their two quarterbacks, Aiden O'Connell being on there with Gardner Minshew picked up in free agency. You're seeing trade into 3 to get Jaden Daniels. You're seeing trade to 8 for a fall to JJ McCarthy. You're seeing a trade to the late first round for Michael Penix. You're seeing them stand pat at 13 to select Penix. You're seeing a whole bunch of different stuff. So we're going to kind of dissect through all of this. So a few days ago, team owner Mark Davis gave his blessing to Tom Telesco, the new GM, and Antonio Pierce, the head coach, to make a move, any move, so long as it makes sense. This was reported from ESPN's Paul Gutierrez. Now, then, like yesterday, we saw per the Athletics' Vic Tafur that the Raiders would quote unquote like to trade up from their current spot in the first round at number 13 overall. We heard from Albert Breer that the Raiders' decision could hinge on McCarthy and whether it gets to the point whether the Michigan QB won't make it to 13, which is certainly possible. I don't think there's any possibility that that happens. And then today, finally, here's today's report. The Las Vegas Raiders are reportedly focused on drafting an offensive lineman or cornerback with the 13th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. This was from Jordan Reeve of ESPN, reported that the Raiders are shifting their focus away from quarterback and will instead try to fill one of their 2 biggest needs elsewhere on the roster. So a lot to dissect. You can kind of see what I was talking about if you haven't been paying attention to the news or rumors world. Can't blame you there. But folks, welcome back to the channel. Before we get into tonight's video, if you enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily Raiders content. If we could try and get this video to 250 likes, that would mean the absolute world to me. So we're just going to say a couple quick more things. Here's what Antonio Pierce said recently. Yeah, man, there's some big boys now. That tackle group, Pierce said. Like, you're talking about a bunch of trees walking around at the combine and at these pro days. It's impressive. You look at those 3 positions, quarterback, O-line, and the DBs, it's a very talented, deep group. So, the Raiders right now, obviously, they picked up Gardner Minshew in free agency in the offseason here, and you've got Aiden O'Connell, and those are the 2 QBs. Regardless, Las Vegas is going to pick up a quarterback. I don't know if it's going to be at the end of the draft, early on in the draft. Maybe they forego it and pick up some veteran free agent. You need 3 quarterbacks, but those are our 2 guys, right? At 13, we've been talking a lot about Michael Penix recently, and a lot of people are just kind of having a hard time. Like, I saw this will make it come first circle. It's hard to justify taking the 5th ranked quarterback at number 13 overall when the rest of the roster has so many needs. I don't agree with that in any way, shape, or form. Like, I get it, man. The Raiders definitely need to make some moves in the draft on the offensive line, right? I get it. They definitely need some more cornerbacks. I feel all right about Jacorian Bennett's rookie season, but obviously it could have been better. You got Jack Jones back there. I get it. A lockdown, true cornerback number 1 would go a long way on this Raiders team. And then, some offensive line depth, some offensive line help, especially at pick 13. I totally understand it. Some of these mock drafts I'm reading, JC Latham, I just don't love it. I think he's more of a run blocker. I don't like the idea of it, but it is what it is. The Raiders have a whole bunch of different moves they can make. What I think is most likely here, because this is such a deep offensive line draft, such a deep quarterback class, such a deep defensive back class, like, I get it. What I think they're going to do, based on the rumor we heard today that they're not interested in picking up or trading up for a quarterback or even drafting a quarterback in the first round, what I think is most likely going to happen is they'll take the best offensive lineman or the best cornerback available at pick number 13. I have a feeling they're going to go with an offensive lineman. I think it'll be relatively underwhelming, but that's how most offensive linemen get drafted, especially in the first round. It just feels underwhelming because it's not this star Heisman quarterback winner in Jaden Daniels. It's not this, perennial All-American wide receiver. But then once week 1 begins, you're like, oh, that's why we drafted him. What I think they're going to do is probably pick up an offensive lineman at pick 13. But I don't think we can count out a trade into the late first round or late first round, early second round to acquire Michael Penix Jr. See, here's the thing, man. I like Aidan O'Connell a lot. I'm not necessarily enamored by Aidan, but I do think, especially with Luke Getsy, like honestly, one of my concerns with Luke Getsy is we saw it in college and we saw it with Justin Fields. And granted, the quarterbacks he's been given in his offensive coordinator tenures have not been great. You can't blame all of it on Justin Fields, but you can't blame all of it on Luke Getsy. I think the Bears organizationally, management wise, until Ryan Poles, but like especially up high at the ownership level, I think it's just been dysfunctional for my entire life. So I'm willing to give Luke Getsy the benefit of the doubt. But one big thing on his resume is we haven't seen the ability to, make his quarterbacks all that much better. We haven't seen much improvements on a year-to-year basis from his quarterback. So, I'm taking it all with a grain of salt because it's the Chicago Bears and it's Justin Fields. And, I just don't really think it was ever a match that made all that much sense. But I'm not enamored by Aidan O'Connell, but I do think he can get the job done, as we saw in his 5-5 record, being the 4th round pick by the Raiders last season. The thing is, he threw a nice deep ball in the final month of the season, especially, and just in general, the last month of the season was very impressive. At the end of the day, 853 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions over his final 4 games. Some nice throws against Denver. Didn't have to really do anything against Kansas City, but we saw that 63-point game against the Chargers. I'm okay with going into next season with a guy like Aidan O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, and then maybe, like a Jordan Travis or a Spencer Rattler that you can pick up in the middle of the draft. I'm okay with that because, you still have Devontae Adams, you still have Jacoby Myers. Trey Tucker and Michael Mayer showed me a lot at the end of their rookie seasons. They, definitely showed flashes of it. I think Zamir White can be a premier running back, especially paired up with Alexander Mattison coming off a horrible season. He's got a lot to prove, a chip on his shoulder, but it just doesn't really enamor me. Obviously I would love Jaden Daniels. I would even like a lot Michael Penix Jr., but I'm not opposed to just trying this out for one season and then going into next year. Because if it doesn't work, you'll probably have a decent draft pick. It's just my thing is, I think Las Vegas has such a good roster around them. Obviously they have holes. They have some needs that they need to fill, offensive line and defensive back. But you've got Devontae Adams, you've got Max Crosby, and I've got Christian Wilkins. Like, I just think the Raiders are really good that no matter who the quarterback's going to be, Aidan O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, or a rookie, I want them to be 100% confident in that guy because you've got a winning roster. You've got a talented roster, man. So that's it for today's rant. Let me know what you guys are doing at pick 13 or if you were in the first round for the Raiders. But thank you guys for watching. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you soon.